In this video, I'm going to talk about the pets, or you can call them animal orbs if you're a bitch. Since the last video, I've found out that the Ninja Claw actually is on the list of weapon effects, but it's at the bottom of the list, and for whatever reason, that red bar at the top of my screen for my screen recorder gives me that much less space to view, and since it was at the bottom of the list, it just got cut off for no reason, and I didn't see it. It does have a 3% poison chance, though. The other thing is that some people will sometimes say that the man catcher is better than the gold skull mace because of the 2 defense on it, but there's two counter arguments to that. First off, fuck no. And then secondly, back in the day when the snaky mace used to be the best weapon in the game, literally nobody thought that the -2 defense was worth mentioning. So I don't see why +2 defense is any different. It's just as negligible. And past 33 damage, the Gold Skull Mace always has a higher damage output. And that's why I think that it's better. And now we can start on the pet tier list. Starting off in F tier, we have Sherbert and Install Ball, which, to rephrase that, is choose your cancer. Because both of these pets make it harder to play the game. Sherbert, at the peak of your jump, you can't start a juggle because you're too high to be able to hit enemies on the ground. So in layman's terms, he makes it harder to do the thing that makes you win the game. Install Ball, his projectiles can go upwards, and then when they hit the enemy and stun it, it just kind of holds still in the air for a second, then falls to the ground. Usually you aren't able to, you have to turn your juggle around if you want to be able to catch it before it falls. So it ruins juggles, and then on the ground it interrupts combos, but it makes the hit counter go up, so most of the time it'll let the enemy get a free hit, and then you'll take unnecessary damage. And then with Dragonhead and Pelter, they'll do the same thing, kind of. It's just that their projectiles have knockback, so the enemy falls over, and you don't take unnecessary damage, but they're still ass cancer, so don't fucking use them. Owlet gets invalidated by Hawkster, big time, so don't even bother. Froglet doesn't do anything. He doesn't spawn anything. He doesn't increase the chance to find stuff. He only can interact with items that have already been spawned. So, in other words, there's no reason to use him. And then same with Mr. Buddy. He should have been in E tier because he's absolutely worthless as well. The Golden Whale is his effect is okay on paper. It's just that it's not, in practice, he's not potent enough to do it good. He spawns 3 gold every minute, and that's terrible. I wouldn't even consider that amount of gold supplemental to gold farming because it's just so slow. You'd have better results with gold farming if you just used a damage boosting pet like Beholder or Snoot. So there's no real reason to use him either. And same with the next 3 pets. Their primary abilities are too niche or become useless after a certain point. Pazzo and Cardinal. No reason to use them after you get the weapons. And then Seahorse his ability isn't that bad on paper. It's just that there's not enough situations where he's useful for you to use him for any considerable amount of time. And there's no best of the 3 because they're all equally unviable. So I wouldn't bother with them. Chicken, I think what he mostly needs is +2 on either 1 or 2 of his stats, and that would make him better. But the thing is that when all the stat pets got changed, going from the original game to remastered, every single other stat pet gives more now, but Chicken stayed the same, so he came out behind, if that makes any sense. So he's a very lackluster pet. He would need some of his stats to be buffed in order to compete with the other ones. With Snailbert and Spiny, they're they're like the most they're like okay. Like I couldn't pick a better pet to go in the middle of the tier list. Like I think that Spiny is a little bit better because he does. I don't think that I think defense is the least valuable of all the stats. So the fact that Spiny doesn't have to sacrifice anything for it, I think that makes him definitely better than Snailbert. Monkey Face is just invalidated by Hawkster, but I guess he's not bad, but there's no real reason to use him. Like whenever I use him, I don't notice a increase in weapon drops or gold drops. I just notice a lot more fruit. But even then, it's still not guaranteed like it is with Hawkster. So I would I would just not ever use Monkey Face. With Yeti, he's like if all of the if Cardinal, Seahorse, and Pazzo had primary effects as useful as Yetis, then that would be awesome because then there would be reasons to use those three, but there just isn't. Because with Yeti, it's like he's like a staple of fighting Ice King on insane mode, and then the fact that they gave him +2 strength in the remastered version it's just icing on the cake, because all those characters that like don't have good slash attacks now they have even more of a reason to use him on that fight because uh what you the main strategy was to use XXXYY on Ice King, and now he just makes it 2 damage better. So yeah, he's actually pretty good. He could probably be in Burly Bear's spot even. Uh, and then yeah, with Burly Bear, he's just a worse version of Snoot. Um, the +1 defense is very negligible, like if it even matters at all. Uh, I think that Giraffe is better than Hawkster for XP farming. Like at least when you're at higher levels of play, beginners will have a much better time with Hawkster. Not just because they'll be not just because he provides longevity to your lifespan, but with the fruit, but because the newer players will be dropping enemies a lot more, and then he'll actually be getting those pecks that can make his XP collection be better than Giraffe's. But if you're not dropping your juggles, then Giraffe is absolutely a better pet for farming. With Troll, I think he's probably the most underrated pet in the game. And I don't know why, honestly. He gives you 1% of your max health every 8 seconds, which is one piece of fruit every minute and 20 seconds. And I think that's actually pretty good. I don't see how he could be bad. Uh, when you die on insane mode, it happens within a few seconds, yeah, but Hawkster and Piggy can't prevent that either. So I honestly think he could be potentially be higher than where I stuck him. Uh, with Bitey Bat and Rami, I think Rami is definitely the better of the two, but that's because he's more accessibly useful. Um, he's like crowd control on a pet, which is nice if your character has bad crowd control or whatever, or he's good for new players, especially on some of the choke spots for new players on insane mode, like the troll boss. I think that I don't think there's a better pet to bring to that fight, honestly. And then Bitey Bat. The higher the skill increases, the more the player will favor Bitey Bat because Rami will interrupt your combos, and if you're playing as Red Knight, he'll just like knock enemies out of the lightning, which actually kind of sucks. But aside from those two situations, he's better in other ways. But Bitey Bat will instead set up combos, and juggles, which is why more experienced players will favor him over Rami. You can also use Rami to farm XP off of slimes, but it's not too effective. Like it's mostly something you can do to boost yourself from level 10 to 20, for example. I wouldn't use it in any other situation. Meowbert, I think, is the best pet for starting early on in the game. When I start a new character, they move so fucking slow. It's unbearable. And just that 4 agility, that makes all the difference in the world, especially if you combine it with an agility weapon. You almost don't even notice you're level 1. It's really nice. Bipolar Bear, I guess it's according to calculations, he will do less for you on a boss fight than Snoot does, but that doesn't completely invalidate him because when a pro player is juggling an enemy, they just know in their heart when to stop juggling and the enemy's gonna die. But not everyone is that good, so uh, Bipolar Bear is an excellent way to learn that because he gives you a visual indicator of when the enemy is dead, and that's actually pretty nice and useful. So he definitely has value whether he's the best for boss fights or not. Between Zebra and Scratchpaw, I think the Scratchpaw is the better of the two. Even though he doesn't have a primary effect like Zebra does, I think that the strength outweighs both the magic and the primary effect of finding food and grass. Although, if you do choose to use Zebra over Seahorse, finding that food in the grass can sometimes make up for not having the strength. But overall, the strength is definitely like the most valuable stat. Beholder is the only way to get plus 10 magic, and that alone gives him this spot. That's very valuable. Between Hawkster and Piggy, it depends on your skill level, which is better. Newer players will definitely have an easier time with Hawkster, because usually they kill one enemy at a time, so they get fruit from each kill that sustains them through the fight. But with the more skilled players, will get every single enemy in the same juggle and then kill them all at once, and then walk over their corpses to get the items afterwards. And by then, if even like usually a high end player will get like to lose like half their health in the average fight, and then if it just takes 2 pieces of fruit to completely replace all that health that they lost. So having Piggy is basically pseudo god mode for a pro player. But yeah, basically just whichever one you need is basically just scales with your skill level. And last but not least, well, technically on this list it's first and also not least. We've got Snoot, and I don't know who thought it was a good idea to put +4 strength on a pet, but it's completely ridiculous. Like, just using Snoot with any weapon that has a good combination of strength and crits, and you basically double the added damage output. With the chainsaw, it's a base like 5.5 strength. You add Snoot and it's 10.5 strength. With the man catcher, you add Snoot, and then it goes from 7.5 strength all the way up to 11.5 strength. With the gold skull mace, it goes from 7.8 strength all the way up to 12.3 strength. So honestly, this pet is broken. It's OP. There's no way he's not number one. And that is the pet tier list. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Fucking piece of shit. Oh, I gotta get out of there. Okay. I guess now the video's over. I'm gonna level with you guys. I honestly don't know how to end a video. So, bye. I guess.